Welcome to the Scoop World Order. Happy Sunday. Great win for the Buckeyes. Happy Labor Day weekend. Thank you to all of those who labor. We're going to have a pretty quick show tonight. There's a huge game going on. Happy Big Ten entry to USC. They play LSU tonight. Going to go over Akron, the grades. Huge commitment with Phillip Bell. Michigan looks terrible. Oregon looks terrible. We're going to get into all that. As always, we appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for all that you guys do for the show. Huge show tonight because you guys make it one each and every night. We crushed it last night. #1 post-game show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We broke down some film. We got some film to break down tonight. I just appreciate all that you guys do. With that being said, I'm going to bring in my good friend at Nevada. Nevada, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. I've had a chance to watch the Ohio State Akron game a couple of times, and I think I have a pretty good idea what went on there. And I actually feel better with each rewatch. It actually looks more, less bad. Let's put it. I was going to say more impressive, but less bad. So yeah, feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I think that these guys have a big time upside coming up. I'm just excited to see what they can do. Again, the O-line is getting beaten down like they always do, but these guys are going to get a lot better. I think that having another MAC opponent is going to be great, and then I also think that having a bye week where Ryan can turn it up a little bit and get these guys going. Again, I think that it wasn't all bad. Again, we've had a terrible camp with the guys missing time from their injuries and the hand, foot, and mouth, and so your All-American guard doesn't play. So you got a redshirt freshman making a first start. You've got Tigre making a first start. You've got a center who's making his first start at Ohio State. Josh Simmons missed a lot of time, so they looked a little rusty. But again, I'd much rather win 52-6 and complain than Oregon didn't look too hot. There are a lot of teams that didn't look too hot, and I think that we're gonna have a huge upswing. I think that these guys are getting beat down in film. I know they are. I've been in these film sessions. They are not fun. They're not pretty. Ryan Day has been all over Justin Fry recently from people I've talked to, and it's not fun. Again, and these kids have pride, which I know they do. They want to defend their coach. It's not fun when your head coach is whipping your position coach, because that basically falls down to you. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this all shakes out. Again, I love the direction of the team. I love, I thought Will Howard was excellent. I thought, they didn't run him at all. And that's like, it's kind of like literally cutting his legs off. And that's half his game. But I didn't think they wanted to. I think they wanted to throw it. I didn't think we took as many deep shots as I expected, but we didn't really need to. And we still put up a ton of points. I thought the defense was dominating. 2 defensive touchdowns. More sacks, more havoc. I thought it was really good. Nevada, Lathan Ransom was defensive player of the game. I imagine J.J. Smith is the offensive player of the game. Do you agree, disagree with any of those initial awards?
No, I mean clearly. Well, it depends on if you're PFF, the famous grading service. They had Jaden Ballard grading out higher than J.J. Smith, so that should tell you all that you need to know about PFF grading. But no, I mean J.J. was great. We had known that the offense is going to run through him. We thought he'd make a big impact. He's a guy that you've got to account for every time he's out there on the field. It's hard for people to live up to the hype when you're as hype. I mean, there probably hasn't been a player in the modern Ohio State era, certainly post Terrell Pryor, that's been as hyped as J.J. Smith. I mean, J.J. got the hype, man. He got the hype monster was all over that guy. And so what did he do? Ran out there, nearly had 100 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns in his first game ever. So, that's exceedingly difficult to do. I think that's really kind of a story of the entire Ohio State team. This Ohio State team, there's a lot of expectations for the Ohio State team. Urban Meyer's called it the most talented team he's ever seen. And, they're consensus number 1 or 2. There's the article about the $20 million in NIL. And so I think that, people kind of look at that and they have an expectation that that's going to mean that they're going to be a perfect finished product from week 1. And that's just not the way that it works. People can call them excuses. They can call them, I think, more as reasons. You're missing some key guys. And the biggest thing was really, coherence on the offensive line, missing a couple of players, or at least one player, key player for sure. And then at linebacker, where you had a couple of guys playing that have never played before, and playing out of position when they were. So I think those were our two positions that probably had the biggest areas of need, but certainly ones that can be instantly improved, and I expect us to get that improvement this week.
Yeah, and I'm gonna talk about a kid that's gotten beat down a little bit over the last day on the board. CJ Hicks is a guy that he has to get better, but what he's good at is something I always talked about is his ability to blitz and simulate pressure. I'm going to break this play down real quick. He does a simulated pressure here, and this is what I think you need to do with him to get him going. So simulated pressure basically is when you bring 4 players. So you're going to bring Caden, you're going to bring Hero. Can't tell you this is Kenyatta's dropping, and you get CJ on a back, and this is a 6-man protection. So you've got you have 3 guys blocking 2 here. And then you have basically 2 guys blocking 1 here. And then you get CJ on the back. And CJ is explosive and slippery. And he doesn't give this guy a lot of surface. Again, this is kind of like being a running back. He hits him with a little juke here. And the back drops his head. It's over. And CJ is able to get pressure. And again, this is 4 people. This is a 4-man rush. This isn't a blitz. So this is simulated pressure. And again, a simulated pressure literally means the end's dropping out. There's zone dropping back behind. And you're just bringing 4 on a 6-man protection, and you get an instant sack. Now, again, the back could be better. He could be much better, but this is not fun when you're this guy and you've got CJ Hicks, who is a powerful kid. He's a quick kid. He's a kid that isn't scared to put the screws of his helmet on your chin. And he gets the kid down. And again, this is what I think CJ can add to this team, because again, the coverage wasn't there. The instincts weren't there. But, again, I think he's probably been the biggest whipping boy coming out of the game. But this is what he's good at. Like, this is something where, if you want to get utility out of CJ, keep him involved, keep him, excited. Because again, I could see potentially Arvell being, replacing him in the starting lineup this week. That is something that I think he's really good at in passing situations. Again, people talk about him pass rushing and how he can add to things. And I think that that's something that, for a kid, the guys that are getting it today are Josh Fryer, CJ Hicks, like some of the offensive line in general type stuff. But I really like that aspect of his game. Now, the coverage stuff, obviously not great. Some of the instinct stuff, not great. But Nevada, how do we fix some of this stuff? How do we fix CJ? How do we fix some of these guys that are kind of getting it today?
Well, I think, first of all, we got to note that any of the criticisms that we're doing, none of this is personal. This is all, we're all rooting for these guys to be good. Yeah. This is just all about where do we need to improve, what needs to happen. And with, look, the CJ, we talked about this a long time ago. The best thing that can happen with CJ would be getting him going forward, attacking on run blitzes, attacking on pass blitzes, going after the quarterback, going after the ball carrier. And it's not an accident that his biggest splash play was doing exactly that. So I think they've got to get him properly aligned. They've got him, doing the proper things. But, I wonder about his instincts as a linebacker. And that's, again, that might be unfair. That might make me a big meanie or whatever. But I'm not sure if he reads and reacts as quickly and processes as rapidly as you'd like him to do if in the linebacker spot. And as a result, I think he's a step slow. So I think you've got to compensate for that by putting him in a position to succeed and give him a chance to attack, move forward. And I think that's one of the answers for linebacker, in general, and certainly for CJ Hicks in particular.
Yeah, I think that it's something that he'll add value doing that. Again, I thought him and Sonny, they've got room to grow. But again, they're both making their first starts at linebacker. So, and again, when we're being critical, you have to understand, in the Woody Hayes, in the coaching sessions, it's 10 times more critical than we are. Because, those coaches, their lives depend upon those guys getting better. Like for Nevada and I, we're just saying, hey, these are things that you could do, the value that he can add, that type of thing. Nevada, do you have anything to add? Philip Bell committed, nice looking kid, another Cali kid coming in. We had Caden Dixon-Wyatt in, who had a fantastic time from the people I talked to. He's probably the best receiver in the country. Him and Chris Henry Jr. were together. I don't know how you cover that in high school, but they're both on the same team. But your thoughts on Philip Bell committing to the Buckeyes?
Well, I mean, what an old school commitment. He commits after his game at night on Saturday, without any fanfare, without pulling up in a Ferrari with some guy shouting that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Or I mean, I just thought it was. I mean, that's the kind of kid that he is. He's kind of an old school kid. Reminds me an awful lot of Chris Olave. Not only from the same area, but the same type of kid. I can only hope he turns out to be the same type of player because Olave is one of my all-time favorites. But no, I think it's interesting to see the reaction from our fan base sometimes when we lose a kid. Sometimes it's like the end of days, and then a kid commits, could turn out to be one of the great receivers. Who knows? Certainly, it could be as good as any receiver in the country, and it's met with, yeah, okay, we kind of got this kid, but we're spoiled. It's an embarrassment of riches in terms of player. This would be the best player in Michigan's recruiting class, and for us, it doesn't even merit hardly a mention. But I'm excited about him, and I think he's going to be terrific and great kid and great player.
Yeah, I totally agree. We can get into some super chats. We're getting them starting to pile up a little bit. General Chrome, thanks for the 20. Appreciate you. Hairball thought things were good when Urban left. Then 2019 happened and he had to skip 2020 and regroup. He found Stallions because he couldn't see a coach who was born on third to keep beating him. Day broke Michigan. Yeah, I think Urban broke Michigan, and then Day took what Urban had in 19 and smashed them again. And 20, we obviously had a team that would have destroyed them. We were going to the national championship. They were awful. I think that Jim Harbaugh wanted to get out of there in the worst way possible. And he did. He got out of there as fast as he could, and it was something where he, again, he wanted to get out there and get the league. And again, when Ward Manuel made him take a 50% pay cut, it burned all the bridges. Like, it was over. He was done, and that was a devastating thing for him. So I think it was interesting that Connor Stallion shows up, and again, the lie is that he went to a coaching clinic and was there on a Friday, and show up Monday and we'll get you something to do. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, they found out about this guy. I'm sure that he stopped by. Somebody inferred him or introduced him to everybody. So I don't know. Like I said, if you think that this guy just met on a Friday and showed up on Monday and worked, you don't know how college football works. You don't know how HR at a major university works. You don't know how background checks work. Like, nothing happens that quick over a weekend. And so, but he wanted to get to Michigan. He got to Michigan, and he ruined Michigan. Nevada, your thoughts, General Chrome. Again, thanks for the 20. He says Hairball thought things were good when Urban left. Then 2019 happened, and he had to skip 2020. They found Stallions, who was born in third, kept beating them. Daybrook, Michigan. Your thoughts, Nevada?
Well, yeah, I mean, you get in the head of Harbaugh. I mean, he comes as the savior of Michigan football, and then Urban just violates him, and then the boogeyman, the Baba Yaga is dead, and he's gone, and now we got this new guy, Ryan Day, and okay, now ding dong, the witch is dead. We're going to start winning now, guys, and then Ryan Day goes out there and hammers him again. Tapping out in 2020. There was a great thing on our Twitter today. Yoder is out there going, "What happened to the last time somebody said they were going to hang 100 on Michigan?" And our famous Twitter responders, it's like, yeah, that team didn't show up, which I don't know why, that just made me laugh really hard. But yeah, I mean, they tap out. I mean, they're literally in a desperation mode when this plan was presented to them, and we saw the different things. Zach Smith had the famous sheet that had the play callers on it. I refer to that as Connor Stallion's version 1.0, and it just kind of evolved from there. It evolved from doing things, seeing what you can do, to this all-out plan. And then when Connor Stallion started getting recognized and congratulated in a place of honor and a job and a full-time employment, then he just went nuts. And then it was just like, oh, now we're going for, let's scout Ohio State 9 times and let's do 31 games this year, and let's take it to the next level. I can go do spy glasses. I can do the whole 9 yards. So yeah, you could just see the evolution of the whole thing kind of play out in real time, and it's a pretty sad story, really.
Yeah, and to me, that's what it was. It came down to, how can I make this as accurate as possible? It's just like anything. It's the law of large numbers. When you get more film and you get more signals and you get more, okay, how often do they switch the signals? Do they ever go back to the signals? Do they have different signals on this week versus this week? Do they keep them the same? Do they keep the formations the same? Like when you get like, 7 games worth of signals, then you can get a pretty good idea of what they're trying to do. And again, when you're obsessed with beating Ohio State, like every waking hour, you could be studying it on your iPad, on your computer, splicing it with film, taking notes. Like, again, it would not be that hard to do if you had this much film. So, again, he did it. And then I think that he just memorized everything like it was a flashcard. So, when it was in real time in person, it was like, oh, I know exactly what you're doing. And he could say it immediately to the coordinators and they could make their calls and kaboom, magically everything worked. So, again, it's silly at this point, but I was really interested in that documentary, and then when I saw it, I was like, this guy's completely out of his mind. The career guy looks for the 5. I usually can't watch the show live because of work, but I watch the replay every day. After watching the Cheaters up north in Oregon, I still love our chances. I do too. I mean, everyone was jumping off the bridge on Lane Avenue after the game, and I'm like, guys, like, long season. We did not show as much as I thought we would, but we still showed things like J.J. Smith lining up at tight end, which, again, I didn't have that on the bingo card. We didn't show unbalanced, but we showed a lot of different looks, and a lot of guys played. The thing I loved, a lot of guys played. I thought Will Howard looked excellent, and I thought that, J.J. Smith is the best receiver in the country. So you add all that together, and I was like, I'll take that. And no injuries, no major injuries. Again, I never, even as a player, I never took for granted walking off the field, which just sounds like a little thing, sounds like a stupid thing. Maybe I'm soft, maybe I'm dumb, whatever you want to call me, but I'm just telling you, I never took that for granted. I loved the fact that we had no major injuries because, we got some guys out. Cody was out, Donnie was out. They'll probably both be out this week because why play them in a game where you're going to be up 42-point favorite or whatever it is, and then you have the bye week. So why re-injure something when you can give them another 2 weeks of rest and then you start the stretch? Then if they're still thinking, you got Marshall, Michigan State stinks. Iowa's Iowa. They can play defense and never score like always. And then you got Oregon. So, you ideally you don't want those guys at least back from Michigan State, especially Donnie, so that the biggest thing is you can get conditioning. Because when you have a lower body injury, it's hard to get your conditioning right. So, Nevada, your thoughts. After watching, again, thanks for the career guy, thanks for the 5. After watching the Cheaters up north in Oregon, do you still love our chances?
Well, yeah. Look, let's be honest. Michigan was really bad yesterday. Really bad. We've been saying all off season that Michigan was going to underperform. I've been very vocal about that. I've been very vocal with my own money about that, about their total number of wins during the regular season, about future betting them against Texas, about future betting them against Ohio State. I said to bet Fresno State in the points. I said to take the under. Everything that we've said about Michigan has come true, and you saw it last. They are not a good football team at all. And Donovan Edwards, the poster boy, that 11 carries, 27 yards. 11 carries for 27. That was the great Donovan. That's the cover of the video game thing. I've said he's Lydell Ross 2.0. He's terrible. 11 carries for 27 yards. And so Michigan's going to have a long season. And you can just see it. You see the cracks are already there. They're in trouble. And they're going to get it big time this weekend against Texas. As for Oregon, look, it wasn't. Oregon couldn't run the ball this week against Idaho. They threw it pretty well, cranked up some big offense, but they could not run the ball against Idaho. So they've got issues as well. So these games are not easy. Everybody wants to make them look easy. They're not easy. And Chip Kelly could have made this game easy by just having go 5 wide and have Will Howard go back and pass. And they clearly were not doing that for a reason. They were clearly leaving the offensive line in there because they felt like they didn't have enough conditioning. They didn't have enough cohesion. They hadn't had enough snaps together. And, as a result, I think they looked a little bit out of sorts, but so did Iowa. Excuse me, so did Oregon. So did Michigan. So did a lot of teams this week. And we won by 46, and we'll win by a lot. I don't know how many we'll win by this week because Western Michigan's pretty good. But it'll probably be a big margin, and I like you would not get any of my guys hurt. I would let them sit through the if anybody's even slightly banged up, I'd let them sit through the bye week and come back 100%.
Yeah, I think that's the best move to do by far. God. Chucky White 231. Thanks for the deuce. 88 cannot block. What happened to our two blocking tight ends? I mean, it's just we live in this world where tight ends are split out so much that they don't get the blocking that they need in high school, and plus they got to run routes, and frankly, like the breakdown of fundamentals in football, especially in blocking, is due to the fact we don't have two-a-days anymore. Like we have less contact than we've ever had in the history of football. So again, skill guys, it doesn't matter because again they can play 7-on-7 year round. They can go out, run routes on air. They can go use the Monarch machine, the Jugs machine. They can get real crispy with the routes. But when you're talking about like physically blocking a human being, which is not a sled, again, I know that we love to hit the sled. Hitting the sled is great. To me, the sled is a conditioning tool. It's like a treadmill. It's like a bench press. Like it'll condition your body, but it doesn't realistically train you to hit a human being. Like when you hit a human being, they move. And they have hands and they can get off your block. And so hitting a static object doesn't help you because what we used to always get cracked on because we didn't use sleds when we played. I was like, well, because we would block each other, like we would line up and do live fits against each other, and that sucks way worse than hitting a sled. I promise you. Because again, guys can move. And again, now when we did it, it wasn't avoid the guy or get off the guy. It was literally butt up and fit. And we used to do that, and we used to call it live fits. And I used to call it concussion drill because it was like you're like this far apart and you'd ram into each other and I hated it. It wasn't pleasant, but it got you right. So to me, I think that G is a guy that you converted from receiver, tries the best he can. I think that that's the most poorly coached room by far. And I don't think that it's really close. And I think that he's got he's got a guy in Jelani, like, because to me, like, I grade our tight ends and the coach in that room based on Jelani Thurman, because he's got all the talent. He can do everything you ask him to do, but is he the guy? Is he going to progress? How much better does he get throughout the season? Because that's the guy that should be the guy. And he was playing early. Like, I'm going to show a play here when JJ caught a second touchdown and Jelani's in there. But he's the guy that can do it and hold the edge. But you got to get the technique down. And I played with the best blocking tight end maybe in school history in Ben Hartsock, who would kill guys. And he played 12 years in the league as a blocker. And you can make a great living in the league as a blocking tight end, believe it or not. Cade was average to below average. But, again, in modern football, these guys are receivers now. Like Kelsey, these guys that all get paid, it's all because they can go out and catch the ball. Now, I think Gronk's the greatest tight end that's ever lived because he could kill guys on the edge too. He was an unbelievable blocker. As well as the best receiving tight end that's ever played, and he was just a moose when you'd split him out wide. So, but yeah, those guys are hard to find because you have so many guys that are. Cade Stover was a defensive end, linebacker, running back in high school, and they turned him into a tight end. G. Scott was a receiver, turned him into a tight end. Like it's a very strange position because a lot of times when you're trying to get faster in college football, you're converting a linebacker or a D end or a receiver to tight end, because most of the tight ends that are in high school end up turning into tackles, unless they're a pure tight end. But most of those guys are split out. Like Rucker was basically a wide receiver that we recruited as a big tight end. But what are your thoughts of that? 88 cannot block. 88 is G. Scott. What happened to blocking tight ends? What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of those you'll not find a bigger fanboy of Chip Kelly than I am in terms of his offensive creativity and the things that they run and things that they do. But some of those formations and some of those sets, I'm not a fan of. You broke one down yesterday showing, J.J. Smith trying to get a block out there. We do like to do it with the tight ends. We just don't have big, formidable tight ends that can do that. But we like to run the plays, and so it's kind of a mystery to me what we think we're getting out of that. And I can only hope that we think that we're setting something else up that we're going to run down the line. And I know that is part of Chip Kelly's arsenal, part of his thinking. But we do not have good blocking tight ends. That's not something that's improved. Now it's only been one game. But we need that to happen, or you need to, just erase them from the field and play two running backs, put another wide receiver on the field, do something. But having guys just out there that that aren't good at the blocking thing probably is not helpful.
King Buckeye here. Please do me a favor and tell everyone they need to take a chill pill about Naheem Alford. Nevada, do you want to tell people to take a chill pill about Naheem Alford?
I've I've been saying I actually have a bet on that. I think I got a bet with somebody that says that Alford and Alford both end up somewhere else, and I've got a pay it forward bet on that. And um, no, I just think in these days and times of NIL and pay to visit and things like that, that you just can't get that all hung up on stuff. And they had Tom Loy. Now Tom Loy's not in the class of the Michigan insiders who truly enter a class by themselves of being the worst insiders in the world. But Tom Loy's been spectacularly bad, and he took a swing at a crystal ball on Naheem Offord. And I mean, there couldn't have been more obvious that he was just taking a swing. He's like, I put a future thing after hearing, and we'll see if it develops, and maybe I mean, it was just like every wiggle word in there possible. And I didn't think that was supposed to be the way the crystal balls were. I'm not even sure how crystal balls worked, but clearly he's taking a swing on the off chance that something does happen with him. But no, I talked to people that are close to him. They said that Naeem's part of the class. I talked to other people that Naeem's talking to that he's recruiting to the class. So I feel really good about where we stand with him, and absolutely believe he'll be there when the dust settles.
But yeah, and like I would keep recruiting everybody. I mean, again, like you see the Florida Gators get smashed by Miami, and if I'm Vernell Brown, I'm like, do I really want to be a part of this quagmire? Because I mean, the coach is obviously gone. Florida has the hardest schedule in the history of college football this year. Go look it up. I mean, it is absolutely insane what they go through. There's like a 5-week stretch where it's like they got to play like It's like I forget who it is. I'm gonna butcher this. So don't hold me to it. But I know they play Texas. I know they play Georgia. I think they play Alabama. I know they play Florida State. Like, and it's like this 5-week stretch where it's just like the SEC is like, you know what, we're gonna make sure we not only are you gonna be dead, you're gonna be like ultra dead. We're gonna like burn you to a crisp. So that's what happened. But I don't know. I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how all that works out. And like I said, I just recruit everybody because anything can happen. Coaches leave. Coaches can go to the NFL. If a guy gets hot, like the guy from Georgia Tech beats Florida State. If he keeps cranking, he could be the next coach at Florida, or he could be the next coach at somewhere. Like there's going to be some guy that emerges as the hot candidate, and I think it's going to be really interesting. Lisa Shear, what's up? Good talking to you tonight. Thanks for the 5. Are we worried about Penn State? Unnecessary off this podcast. Folks seem impressed with Drew Aller and the team. Your thoughts? Well, I think that they're going to be better because I think that their offensive coordinator is a good hire. Drew Aller is going to be better than he was last year because he was terrible last year. Do I think that he's like great? No. Do I think that he's going to be some hyper freaky, first round pick type guy? No. But guys in general can get better year over year, especially when you're a first year starter to a second year starter. Again, I speak from his, when I was a freshman versus a sophomore, I cannot believe how much better my film was. Like it didn't look like I was the same human being. So again, when you're a quarterback, I'm sure that he spent all off season, sharpening up, personal training, working with the new OC. I mean, there's nowhere to go but up because he was atrocious last year. I mean, in the shoe, he was as scared as like Kyle McCord used to be. Kyle McCord was like terrified out on the field, and that's what like Aller was. The difference is Kyle just had way better players. He had Marvin Harrison and all these great players around him, so he was carried to a higher level than Drew Aller was. But yeah, Drew, I think that they're gonna be tough. I mean, Penn State is always tough. But I'm not scared of them. I'm not scared of any of them. I'm not scared of Oregon. Like there's no big bad wolf on the schedule. And again, that's the beauty of actually playing the games is, guys show up and we'll see now. Will they be tough? Absolutely. Is Oregon still a top 5 team? Absolutely. But we've got a wicked defense and these guys play really hard. I mean, Ty Leak was the guy that was flying around on the field and I was so happy for him because he's in better shape. You could tell that he put in work and conditioning. He was running to the ball. And again, these guys know that the NFL scouts are watching. So they're going to run to the ball. And these guys are going to watch Ty Leak run around there and chase down running backs down the field pursuing. And they're going to be like, oh my God, look at the effort he's playing with. Because things change when it's your last year. So JT looked faster than I've ever seen him look. I know it's Akron, but I mean, he played Akron like it was Penn State the last 2 years. Jack was wrecking shop. The only thing that Jack did is he didn't sack the quarterback, but he was destroying their offense. And I was just like, he's the guy that like this. If for whatever reason, like the stats didn't show up yesterday, but he was as good of a guy as we had on the field. He probably graded out really high. So I love the direction of this team. And again, I always say it, and you guys can hold me to it, and I'll write it on my forehead for you guys. When you go on the road, the two things that travel are your running game and your defense. It doesn't matter if it rains, snows, rains frogs, whatever. Like, those things travel, and that's what it takes. So, again, I'm excited. I can't wait for these guys to go to Happy Valley, and I think they're going to smash those guys. Nevada, Lisa, again, thanks for the Fox. She said, are we worried about Penn State? On the Story Breakfast podcast, folks seem impressed with Drew and team. Your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, my honest thoughts are just like you said. I mean, look, Penn State at Penn State always seems to give us trouble. I mean, and that's going to be a challenging game. I'm assuming that game's not going to be a whiteout based upon the schedule and the times and the other games going that week. If it's a whiteout, I think they'll give us more trouble. But I think that's always a tough game. But we're just way better than they are. We're way better than they are across the board. Drew Aller's really going to struggle against our secondary. Our secondary is going to give everybody fits this year, and it's really. I mean, you could tell what Knowles could dial up the pressure anytime he wanted against Akron and get home, but he decided not to do it much. They were playing some games and doing some stuff, but they weren't really blitzing all that much because he didn't need to. Against Drew Aller, man, you bring the pressure against that guy, and he starts going off his back foot. He gets those big eyes, looks at the deer in headlights. And I'm not worried about anybody on our schedule this year, and certainly not Penn State. Penn State that'll be a nice test for us. Probably a closer game than we'd like it to be, but I have no doubt that we're going to end up prevailing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Let's spin back into the film room because I loved this play. This was a really nice little play action pass. You got Jelani out here. You've got the two Autobots, the two Decepticons with Jelani and JJ, which are the best looking tight end, best looking receiver maybe in the country at both spots. This is good though. You put Jelani in motion, you go over, you go 3x1, so you get your 3 down here, you get your 1 up here. You see that it's man coverage because he goes with him. And so I love when you go 3 down here and they got to worry about some crazy bunch thing. And you do the little play action counter here. So you basically have a 6-man protection wall. And this is just beautiful by Will. And you see JJ just, again, when you've got all this field, he could rip this slant because these guys are all man to man. So the pressure's, are they pressuring? Are they worried? Are they spying on Will Howard, looking for read option? And, when you got JJ running this and there's no inside help here, this is death. This is instant death. And Will rips this throw, puts it right on the number, sticks it to JJ's chest. And again, I just don't know how you defend that. And so, that's something where, I pointed out some stuff I didn't like in that tight area with Chip when he put JJ in and condensed it on yesterday's episode. I love that call because you get everybody over here. You get Carnell and Emeka. Those guys are terrifying. And then you get the big dog Jelani out there, the big Q dog, because I know he's going to rush for the Omegas. And you get JJ on the backside. Like that's where you put JJ on every goal line play. You put him by himself over there, and if you dare to put one guy on him, he's going to absolutely murder them. So, your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Yeah, no, that was a great throw. I mean, and you look from the quarterback when they showed kind of the back behind view, and he had to. Wasn't a big window; it was a narrow window. He had to throw that thing into. But I mean, Will Howard gunned it. That just kind of shows you the kind of arm strength he had. I mean, Will's good on those passes. I mean, he threw that pass, that touchdown, the other touchdown pass of JJ, kind of a modified back shoulder throw. That was a dime. That was delivered on time, on target, and right there. And JJ is going to be a problem because you've got to respect everybody else. He's going to get single coverage, and if he's singled up against somebody, that person's in deep trouble because his next variation off of that is they'll show that same play and he'll fake the slant and then he'll bust it out to the post and he'll be wide open because the guy's gonna be so scared about giving up inside leverage. So lots of things you can do with JJ. Great to have a quarterback that can put the ball where it needs to be, and Will sure did that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do one more. I know that the game is kicking off, so I know that a lot of you guys are ready to go watch that. But I just want you to look at how fast Jack Sawyer gets to the quarterback here. This is they do like a little slide thing where they all come here, and then this guy's supposed to come over here and avoid, and I mean, but look how fast Jack's off the ball. And I mean, the get off is crazy, and they throw this into the dirt. And look at our defense rally. I mean, this is physical, great football. I mean, this guy's like, I do not want any of this smoke. Lathan was flying again. I think Lathan should have been a captain, but that's just me. But I mean, I just love the intensity of the defense. But I mean, our ends are leaner and they're explosive and they are really, really flying to the ball. And again, Jack he doesn't get a sack on this. He doesn't get anything on this. He gets a 0-0-0 across the board. But he causes this to be hurried. And Lathan is a heat-seeking missile here. And again, I'm so happy for this kid because I think he's a great kid. He's a really good player. And I love all that. So I had to point that out real quick. Again, I know you guys love my little film breakdowns, but our ends look quicker, much quicker. I know that they lost weight. I know that they're on diets. I know that they're tuned up because again, this is the end of the road. This is like Boys to Men. This is the end of the road. They have to dial it in because they want to get drafted as high as again. They want Buckeye trees. I tell these guys, I'm like, look, this is it, man. If you want a tree, you got to go get after it. If you want to, I mean, you got the captain. Like I said, my senior year, I wanted the tree. On the captain. The only thing I didn't get was the big ring, and that sucked. I was close. Got second in the nation. I didn't get first, so that sucks. We got a stupid bit. I didn't even, when we lost the national championship my senior year, I told Tress, I was like, we shouldn't even get rings. I'm tired of getting Big Ten title rings, but that's me. We still got a stupid Big Ten title ring. I was supposed to help design it, and I deferred because I was like, I don't care. Because after we lost to LSU, I was like, we don't deserve rings. But that was me. Big mean Kirk. But yeah, these guys, I'm so excited about watching this defense. I watched this film and I'm like, oh my God, these guys they are flying. And Jim Knowles has got these guys dialed in, something fierce. We have a super chat. Let me grab this real quick. Steve Kiko, thanks for the 5. I was able to snag a massive Buckeye off the Burke Carton tree in Buckeye Grove. Great show. Go Bucks. The massive Burke Carton Nevadabuck tree, correct? Nevadabuck sweet tree.
Exactly. I mean, I'm glad that you corrected that, man, because you didn't. I'm jumping in right away, man. I'm telling you. That's our tree.
God.
That's
our tree. Yes.
That's our tree.
Oh my God. That is our tree. We got our own little distributions of our tree of the Buckeyes. So I love it. Well, I hope you guys have a great Labor Day. This is going to be a little shorter show because I know that there's a really good game kicking off, but love you guys to death. Nevada, any final thoughts?
No, just I'd encourage everybody that's feeling bad about the Akron game to go back and watch it. I don't think it holds up pretty well. The second half, man, the second half offensive drives by the first team offense were like 3 drives, 3 touchdowns, 175 yards. Will Howard was 7 for 7. They really dialed it in after halftime, made some adjustments, kind of tuned things up, and on to week 2, win in advance.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Again, we appreciate you guys, as always, for being a huge part of the show. Thank you. Happy Labor Day to all you guys at Labor. Thank you for all that you guys do. Again, we appreciate you guys so much. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. I hope you guys have a great night. Go USC, go Big Ten. It's going to be a great night of football. But love you guys. We'll be back at 7 tomorrow. Again, appreciate you. If you guys go do something huge for us, follow us on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a like, a 5-star review. A bunch of you guys did that, so it's working. So thank you guys. Again, I appreciate you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great night. Enjoy time with your family. And we'll be back at 7 tomorrow because we will labor on Labor Day. In the words of the great Jim Tressel, we're going to labor on Labor Day, which he used to always say when we would practice on Monday. So God bless Jim Tressel. He's the best. So hope you guys have a great night. Go Bucks. what's up?
Hey, we're on the clock. Draft Dick.
Yeah, I just took him.
All right.
Yeah.
I think our draft's falling together okay.
Oh, it's fucking dude. I mean, we got the good quarterback receiver combo. You know, he's the #1 quarterback in all the fantasy things. I love that motherfucker. Hurts because he led the. Yeah, he'll have 1,000 yards rushing, and he led the NFL in rushing touchdowns for a quarterback.
Well, and Dick's gonna get 1,000,000 yards
with Stroud. No, I know,
Stroud,
dude.
yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I'm rolling right now. Are you at the bar?
I'm at the bar.
All right, cool. See ya. Bye.